Welcome to TSN. We've got an outstanding card for you this week, including an America's title match with this man, the champion Larry Zbyzsko, defending his America's title against Steve Olsonoski. This is one of the very few times I have ever seen you bring that belt anywhere except into the ring at a title match.
Well, you know, I made it clear before, and I think if these people could understand English, that it was because too many people are trying to steal this. There's been too much controversy over this belt, how much money it's worth. A lot of rumors. There's been attempts by Bob Backlund. As you know, I do have a match signed against Steve Olsonoski. Should be coming up later. That is, of course, if the man has the guts to show up in the ring, if he has the guts to face me. I know what you're thinking, Larry, but let me tell you something. You know, I would believe, and I would not be surprised if Olsonoski put his tail between his legs and ran, because I think that one of his heroes, one of his idols, is, of course, the world champion Rick Martel. And we all know that Rick Martel's hiding, and Rick Martel is running.
From
and he's
what?
From what? He's running from me, because I am the America's heavyweight champion, Larry. And I am the man who could take the world's championship away from Rick Martel. And it's plain and simple as that.
There's no getting around the fact that you are the America's champion. There's also no getting around the fact that most of your matches end in some sort of controversy or another. You have been known to leave an arena
Well, let me tell you
unknown
something.
purposes.
People cannot handle, you people, the promotion, these people cannot handle the psychological warfare that Larry Zbyzsko deals with. You know, I've got endurance, I've got strength, I've got speed, I've got wrestling knowledge. So do other athletes. So does Rick Martel. So does Bockwinkel. So does Ray Stevens, the Freebird, the Brad Rannigan's a tough wrestler. I mean, there's a lot of tough wrestlers. There's one thing that takes the edge away from these wrestlers, and that's mentality. That's intelligence. When I go in that ring with an opponent, he doesn't know if I'm coming or going. He doesn't know what I'm thinking. I've got my game plan, Larry. And they don't. They have to change theirs. That's psychological warfare. That's why Martel is hiding. That's why Steve Olsonoski might sign his name on the dotted line but might miss a plane.
I can't grasp you're having the audacity to stand here and tell me that Rick Martel is hiding.
Okay, let me tell you something. You know, there's one thing good about you, Larry, and that is your name. Why I have the audacity is because I have the America's Heavyweight Championship belt, and that is the truth. That I am what I am, and I say the truth, and it's Rick Martel and all the rest of the people who are hiding. You know, all the little Canadians over here, probably stashing them in some lavatory in some gas station somewhere when I'm in town. But that's the truth. This is the bottom line and the reality.
America's champion Larry Zbyzsko will defend the title against Steve-O in about 40 minutes.
Minnesota. He weighed in at 232 pounds. Here's Steve Olsonoski. And his opponent at 245 pounds out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, America's champion, Larry Zbyzsko. For all 45 minutes, your referee, Joe Fiorino, now down the ringside.
Thank you, Ken Resnick. There's a good look at the America's champion. That is Larry Zbyzsko. Maybe the most arrogant man in wrestling, been called the sneakiest man in wrestling. And if he's not the biggest crybaby in wrestling, he's certainly one of them. Steve Olsonoski, well liked wherever he goes. An excellent wrestler.
This should be a dandy. Larry Zbyzsko at 245, Steve Olsonoski at 232. Zbyzsko, the America's champion, doesn't bring his belt out that often, but he brought it out tonight. Joe Fiorino has been in there refereeing Zbyzko's matches before, and he is not going to take a whole lot of lip off the America's champion. Joe Fiorino simply wants Larry Zbyzsko to get with the program. Zbyzsko comes over and asks me what the problem is, as though he's not the one creating it. Joe Fiorino wants that bell, and there it is. Steve Olsonoski and Larry Zbyzsko. This could be a dandy match. 45-minute time limit on this bout. One fall. Zbyzsko doesn't like to start right away. He uses a lot of psych-out tactic himself. Now he's going out of the ring. Steve-O's going right after him. Zbyzsko right in front of us, having an absolute fit in the direction of anyone who wants to listen. And he does a lot of the tactics of just trying to psych his opponent out. He moves around a lot. Feeling out process. I don't think these two men have ever been in the ring against one another before, so there'll be some of that. You see the bandage, or what looks like a bandage, around the wrist of Steve Olsonoski. I don't know what that's all about. And again, Zbyzsko acting like he wants to wrestle and then backs off. And uses a little more. Joe Fiorino counting on him. He's had about enough. Zbyzsko and Olsonoski. Zbyzsko wanting to call a timeout, and that's not going to happen. And Steve-O right after him. And Zbyzsko out of the ring. Steve-O going right with him. Zbyzsko outside, Steve Olsonoski inside, and Joe Fiorino just wants something to happen here. He says, wait a minute. This is typical Larry Zbyzsko. This is the way he starts almost every match. Works the crowd into a frenzy. Irritates the living daylights out of his opponent and the referee. But once he gets started, do not underestimate the America's champion. He is deadly. He works the referee, waiting for an advantage, maybe down the road, if he can get the referee thinking that it's his turn. Steve Olsonoski with a self-explanatory signal. Again, he tries to move in on Zbyzsko, and again, Zbyzsko retreats. Both of these men are quick. The size advantage isn't really that much, and the strength advantage is pretty even. And again, Zbyzko's up, and Olsonoski's right on him this time. No way! Joe Fiorino counting. Well, after all that, no one has an advantage. Larry Zbyzsko is now having a real live honest to goodness fit. Steve Olsonoski is starting to get a little frustrated, and he wants to wrestle. Now Olsonoski appealing to the crowd. They agree with him, and again, Zbyzsko is out of the ring, and this time he's down on the floor. Joe Fiorino backs Steve Olsonoski off. Zbyzko's on the apron now, but he's going to come back in. Larry Zbyzsko, the America's champion at 245. Steve Olsonoski at 232. Now let's see if they're going to wrestle this time. They go collar and elbow. Olsonoski backing Zbyzsko into the ropes. Joe Fiorino getting right in the middle. Zbyzsko shoving Steve Olsonoski off. Well, they're just kind of standing there faking at one another a little bit. Joe Fiorino telling Olsonoski to get those fists unclenched. Olsonoski moves in, collar elbow into the ropes again. Zbyzsko turns it around, and Olsonoski throws Zbyzsko off. Joe Fiorino says perfectly legal. Did it with the open hand. Steve Olsonoski offering a handshake. Zbyzsko wanting nothing to do with that. We have yet to see a wrestling hold. And we're almost 5 minutes into this match. Collar and elbow into the ropes again. Zbyzsko shoves Olsonoski off. Olsonoski shoves back, and now it is the headlock on Larry Zbyzsko by Olsonoski, throwing him out of it. And back to the headlock. A wild flurry. Both of these men very, very, very skilled wrestlers. We passed the 5-minute mark. This is one fall, 40 minutes. Olsonoski throwing out of it. Sunset flip! Zbyzsko gets out of it. Right there. It won't even be a count. Steve Olsonoski. These are two fast wrestlers. And now they're both more or less, Steve Olsonoski completely outside of the ring, goes down to the floor, and Larry Zbyzsko upset. Zbyzsko with some words for a fellow at ringside. The entire crowd getting into it. Steve Olsonoski is running around outside the ring. The crowd takes up a chant. I can't pick up what they're saying, but Zbyzsko doesn't like it at all. Joe Fiorino backs Zbyzsko up. Steve Olsonoski in the ring. Their trunks are basically the same color. I just now noticed that. Steve Olsonoski's a little paler. Looks like he's been wearing them a little longer, or at least watches them more often than Zbyzsko watches his. Zbyzsko with a kind of a bear hug on Steve Olsonoski. Throws Zbyzsko to the mat and then backs up. Now he comes in and Zbyzsko backs up, and Joe Fiorino wants him to settle down again. Olsonoski puts Fiorino out of the way, and Fiorino comes right back in. You don't shove Joe Fiorino around. He is an excellent referee. And again, the crowd giving Zbyzsko all kinds of verbal abuse. They're still circling one another. They're still very, very wary of one another. Olsonoski under, and he's cut the leg. That's a kind of a sitting step over toe hold that Steve Olsonoski has, sitting toe hold on Larry Zbyzsko. Got that leg locked and locked up tight. Steve Olsonoski has Zbyzsko. Well, now Zbyzsko comes up, and it looks like he's going for a face or chin lock.
It's not a joke.
And they're all wrapped up. You heard Zbyzsko scream, it's not a joke. Whatever it is, Steve Olsonoski's out of it. Back up on the leg. Will he step? Oh, wow. Came right down on the knee. Steve Olsonoski dishing out a lot of punishments with the left leg of America's champion Larry Zbyzsko. Now he takes it into a step over toe hold, but Zbyzsko kicks out, flips Olsonoski. He came down hard. Zbyzsko right on top of him. Olsonoski throws out of it, and they both caught the shoulder. Zbyzsko out of the ring. They are both stunned. Why isn't Joe Fiorino counting on Larry Zbyzsko? Now he starts the count. Zbyzsko trying to get back in. Olsonoski meets him. Forearm across the back. And he helps him up. Well, now they're arguing over who's coming out and who's coming in. Olsonoski over the top rope. That is not a disqualification. Zbyzsko didn't throw him over that top rope. I can't see Steve Olsonoski. He went flying over that top rope. He had to come down hard. The crowd screaming abuse to Zbyzsko, and now we see Olsonoski trying to get up. Zbyzsko right on him with the knee. Larry Zbyzsko now the king of the ring, and we got to wait and see what's going to happen. There you see Steve Olsonoski. He is hurt. We are 10 minutes into this match. 1 fall, 40-minute time limit. Steve Olsonoski hurt. He's getting a chance to regroup outside the ring. And now Zbyzsko coming up behind him and again gives him that knee. Larry Zbyzsko telling Joe Fiorino to count. I don't know what Zbyzsko, I guess, just checking out one of the turnbuckles. You never know what is going on in the mind of Larry Zbyzsko. And of course, when he comes over like that, the count has to start all over again, or Joe Fiorito runs him off. Steve Olsonoski trying to calmly collect himself and regroup outside the ring. It looks like he's in... Well, at least he's had a chance to catch his breath. Olsonoski comes up. Zbyzsko meets him with a knee, this time directly into the chest. And back out goes Steve Olsonoski. Looks like he got him on the wrist that time. That's the wrist that Steve Olsonoski has bandaged. I do not know why. But Steve-O getting fired up and getting the crowd into it. And he'll dash around on the outside, comes up on the apron again. Zbyzsko on him, but Steve-O waiting on him. Sunset flip. Zbyzsko out of it. 2 count. Zbyzsko missing. Suplex. He only got 2 of them. Olsonoski looks like he may be trying to go for a suplex situation here. Zbyzsko trying to bridge him off. Now joining me at ringside, Ken Resnick.
Very, very exciting right now. Steve Olsonoski on the verge of a tremendous victory over the American champion.
He'll get the leg on the ropes, and that will save Larry Zbyzsko. You can do that. You do it too close to the ropes. Zbyzsko is just too smart.
He is a crafty veteran inside of that ring. There's no 2 ways about that.
Steve Olsonoski right now is giving the America's champion everything he can handle. Oh, he's going to take him across that rope to the eyes. Oh! Uh-oh! Right across the head! Larry Zbyzsko got the knee up, and that had to knock the sense out of Steve Olsonoski, at least temporarily. Zbyzsko on him. Looks like he's going to go for the pile driver. He can't get him up. And it's a
I'll tell you, Larry, what an accounting. I was just about to say, what an accounting Steve Olsonoski is giving of himself against the America's champion, but there, the leverage not quite right. Zbyzsko was able to turn it around.
Talking about turning it around. I got Zbyzsko when Olsonoski was thinking about taking him all 4 corners. Package! Zbyzsko somehow got out of it.
I'll tell you, Larry, this is about the 4th time in this match Zbyzsko has come within a half a second of being pinned.
2 drop kicks. Steve Olsonoski goes to the second rope. And he missed the right elbow.
I'll tell you, that neck breaker of Zbyzko's is absolutely devastating. I don't know how many opponents that has pinned.
Well, he didn't get Steve Olsonoski.
Steve somehow managing to get that one shoulder off the mat as Joe Fiorito is beginning to come down for count of 3. And back comes Steve-O. Look at Steve Olsonoski. What a battle he is giving Larry Zbyzsko.
And now it's Olsonoski with the cover, but Zbyzsko kicks out of it. Both these guys are groggy. And again, Zbyzsko will get him up for the pile driver. And this time he gets it. Cover. And he got it.
But I'll tell you one thing, Larry. Larry Zbyzsko, America's champion, knows he has been in a battle.
15 minutes into the bout. Larry Zbyzsko with that so devastating pile driver.
Look at this. They're both groggy. Zbyzsko comes with one to the breadbasket, one to the neck, and Steve-O doubled up, was in perfect position. Zbyzsko picked him up, and, right there. And then it's just a matter of covering him. Larry Zbyzsko stacking up the spine and the brain cell of Steve Olsonoski. And he's got all he can do just to get over him for the cover. But cover him he did. 3 count, your winner, America's champion, Larry Zbyzsko.